There was one woman here on the payroll as an underground coal miner when the explosion happened here at this performance coal mine, and she says the body of her fiance was the last body they recovered. 49-year-old Bobby G says she came to work here at UBB as a red hat coal miner back in 2008. G says she fell in love with one of her fellow coal miners and he asked her to marry him. G had the day off on April the 5th a year ago, but her fiance, Howard Payne Jr., he had to work that day. He clocked in and never clocked out.
No man should die 5 miles under the earth and lay for a week to the point where you can't even ever see him again. I never, from the morning of April the 5th, I never looked upon that man's beautiful face again. I never saw his eyes again.
It was Howard Payne's piercing blue eyes that helped him win Bobby G's heart. Now that heart is broken, shattered into pieces the day of the explosion. G says her relationship with Payne, known as Boone to virtually everyone who knew him, started as a working relationship, with her being a rookie red hat miner and he a veteran roof bolter underground.
I'd have a stupid question. He said, no question is ever stupid. If you don't know the answer, you ask me and I'll help you. And so that's how our relationship began.
G says her fiance was quick to accept her right to work in an occupation dominated by men, some of whom were reluctant to work alongside a woman underground. G is a coal miner's daughter, but the advice of her fiance has kept her from going back underground. G says Payne told her that it's vital to leave outside emotions above ground when you're mining coal, because those kind of distractions can get a miner killed.
I haven't been back underground since the day of the explosion, because I can't separate that. I can't at this point in my life, and I'm sure there will be a point where I'll be able to separate the two. But right now I cannot leave my emotions and my sorrow outside. I carry it with me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
This single mother of two began carrying her burden of misery a year ago when she received word of the explosion. She says she knew Payne's routine so well, she only had one question for company officials when she arrived at the mine the day of the blast, because if that explosion had occurred after 4 p.m., she said she knew that her beloved Boone would be safe.
I said, please tell me what time this happened. And they said about 5 minutes after 4, or about 5 minutes after 3. And I said, oh my God, he's inside the mine.
That started a roller coaster of emotions. Like many of the loved ones of the miners who were underground following the explosion, G says she held on to the hope that Payne made it to the rescue chamber in the mine. But that hope was shattered like water falling on a rock when company leaders delivered the news that no one survived the blast, and then dropped the microphone for the PA system onto a table.
And the words just echo in my mind, no survivors. And that microphone bouncing on that table, boom, 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 boom. It was almost like a heartbeat had stopped. It was over.
While the waiting was over, the full weight of the misery to follow began. G says she and many of the family members on hand were caught in the grip of an indescribable wave of grief.
And it was chaos, and ambulance people were coming in, and they were taking my pulse, and they were just, and it was just absolute. I don't think they ever expected the reaction. But what other reaction could there have been? We waited a week, and it's done.
G says the seeds of love between she and Payne began to grow underground at UBB, and the hopes and dreams of this coal miner's daughter of becoming a coal miner's bride died on April the 5th, 2010.
Our love ran deeper than that coal mine. You know, it just ran so deep. We buried him a week after we found out on Saturday. And I mean, I just remember that this wasn't the way our story was supposed to end.
G says that end has left her virtually frozen in time.
It's almost like life has gone on without me. Emotionally, I am probably May of last year. But what is the etiquette of grief?
G is still seeing a counselor. She says she returned to work in May of last year, but she thinks that may have been too soon. She continues to work, but not in an underground capacity. G is currently working in an office role at another Massey-owned coal mine. While there were